Hey guys, this is JP's LEGO Reviews. Now, let's answer an important question when it comes to LEGO sets and LEGO original themes. And that is, why do most recent LEGO original themes fail? To answer that, let's break it down. Firstly, we need to look at what's an original LEGO theme. It's a LEGO theme that LEGO themselves have come up with, and that within itself doesn't require an extra license. For example, with LEGO City. LEGO City as a license is a LEGO-owned license. LEGO themselves have come up with it, so they don't have to pay maybe, say, Disney or Universal Studios or some gaming company a license because they've invented the license. And a theme simply is a group of LEGO sets that LEGO sets fall under, where you purchase a LEGO set under, say, a Star Wars set or under a City set, for example. If you didn't know what a theme is either. But now, let's move on to, firstly, the failed themes existing from 2015, what a successful theme looks like, and how did each theme that I'm showing fail, and the trends here that exist. So, let's look at each bit step by step. Firstly, let's look at the failed themes existing from 2015. You have LEGO Legends of Chima, Ultra Agents, LEGO Elves, Nexo Knights, Hidden Side, Monkey Kid, and Dreams. The caveat with all these themes is they existed from 2015. They weren't necessarily invented or first created in 2015. Now, what does a successful theme look like? Well, it looks like LEGO Ninjago. It started in 2011 and it was going to last until 2013, but it was so successful, both the show and the sets, that it still exists today. And it's more popular than ever, and they're even making legacy sets, which is crazy if you think about it. It's the only really unlicensed LEGO theme that has actually been able, for example, to, in 10 years later, making sets that existed 10 years ago, but rehashing it and selling it now. And that's awesome to see. But there's more. There are a few characteristics that made LEGO Ninjago successful. It has a good show/storyline that people cared about. The sets are generic enough where you can use them for multiple use cases. For example, you have, say, a LEGO Ninjago set, but you could use it just as some generic Japanese architecture as well. They're fun to play with, and there's nothing limiting the full use of these sets. And with, for example, this LEGO Ninjago set with this temple, it's generic enough. It can be used as just a Japanese temple. Yes, it has a bit of Ninjago-ness to it, but it's still realistic enough where one may buy it just because it looks like a Japanese architecture, rather than because it's a Ninjago set. And because of these four factors, this made LEGO Ninjago successful. But let's look at each theme that failed and how each theme that I showed you earlier didn't do this. Firstly, we have Legends of Chima, existing from 2013 to 2015. Now, here we have a forgettable show and sets that don't usually work in another context. So, for example, with this Lion Temple or this 2014 set, they're interesting enough sets. They're playable. They're very, very playable. They're inventive. But the show was forgettable, and these sets, you can't use them anywhere else apart from with other Chima sets. This Lion Temple is slightly more generic, but this can't be used anywhere else apart from Chima. And with the 2014 sets, they were even less applicable to other themes, since they didn't even look like anything that looked like it belonged anywhere near anything that wasn't LEGO Chima. And because the sets were so specific to LEGO Chima, this is why LEGO Chima failed, simply because they couldn't get a wide enough audience to purchase these sets. Let's look at Ultra Agents, existing from 2014 to 2015. Firstly, no one cared about its storyline since there was no show, and there wasn't even a storyline that anyone could care about. The sets usually don't work in another context, and even worse, they're not that playable. looking at the Ultra Agents Mission HQ, you can clearly see that there's a little bit of playability, but they're not actually that easy to play with. You can obviously see this truck would not work in another context. You couldn't just place it elsewhere and then think, cool, let's use it, say, in a city or in anywhere else for that matter, since you can't do that. And also, because there's no compelling storyline that anyone cares about, this set is just another set. There's nothing great about it, there's nothing interesting about it, no one cares about it, which is why Ultra Agents failed. Now, looking at LEGO Elves, it's a forgettable show, and the sets don't usually work in another context. Now, let's come back to the castle set. But for example, most of the sets they released are like the sets on the right. Clearly, this doesn't work with anything even remotely other than LEGO Elves. But even when they make something like the castle on the left, this still doesn't work in another context, maybe in a bit more of a medieval context, simply because more than half of it is purple, or close to half of it. There's too much that's too strange about this set where if you display it in a medieval scene, you're going to think, what's this doing here? It's obviously a fantasy set. It's not close enough to any form of medieval set simply because it's too separate. It's too separate, and this limits the audience that can purchase these sets, and because there's not a huge amount of audience that would buy these sets, that this is the reason why this theme failed. But let's go even further with Nexonauts from 2016 and 2018, where with these sets, it's a forgettable show. Again, it's a forgettable show with the LEGO Nexonauts sets. And also, these LEGO sets don't usually work well in another context because, for example, with these two sets, you have one LEGO set which, well, actually both these are super specific to, you know, Nexonauts. But even with Nexonauts sets that look like, for example, a castle, they're so far removed from what an actual castle looks like that you can't sort of replace a regular castle with a Nexonauts castle and think that it's okay, because you're going to think this looks out of place. It looks too ridiculous to fit in with the castle. It's too futuristic, it's too random. And because the storyline didn't work out, but also the sets don't work in any other sort of context, this is the reason why LEGO Nexonauts failed, simply because there was not enough people that wanted LEGO Nexonauts sets. Now let's look at Hidden Side. Now, with LEGO Hidden Side, there is a forgettable storyline attached to a video game, and you need an app to fully play with and experience these sets. And you have this set here, and also this set where you have a roller coaster and a car. But unlike all the other things we've seen so far, most of these LEGO sets can actually work with another context. They're generally horror, but it's sort of bland enough where you could potentially fit these sets with other LEGO sets. And that's a shame, because with a roller coaster, you can easily make it maybe a haunted roller coaster, or with the car, you can make it into sort of a regular LEGO vehicle. But because there's a forgettable storyline, and also you need an app to actually play with and experience these sets, this is the reason why this theme failed. It's simply too hard to actually interact with these sets and to play with them, and Hidden Side really shot itself in the foot because it made a theme that could have worked not work because it relied too much on an app and the storyline wasn't good enough. But now let's look at LEGO Monkey Kid. Existing from 2020 till now. Now, with LEGO Monkey Kid, not Money Kid, but Monkey Kid rather, the show is basically China only, where it's really only accessible to a China-based audience, and this theme really is only promoted in China en masse, which restricts your ability to purchase it if you're not watching this from China. And this theme could have worked if LEGO decided to give it a good, proper global release, not just a little addition on Lego.com, but if they properly marketed Monkey Kid, it could have been a very successful theme. And with this set, for example, the Heavenly Realms, it's a really good Lego set that could be used in another context. The sets in Monkey Kid are fantastic, but Lego decided to restrict this only to China. And basically, this is why Lego Monkey Kid has failed in any other market than China, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. And finally, we have Lego Dreams with 3 Zs, existing from 2023, but it's either failed or it will fail shortly. And the reason why Lego Dreams has done this is because it has a forgettable storyline, and the sets don't usually work in another context. For example, with this Nightmare Shark ship and Mr. Oz's space bus, these sets are so random. They are just random that you obviously can't use it in another context, but also because it has a forgettable storyline and no one cares about the Lego Dreams storyline. It's gonna fail because simply, yeah, these sets look interesting, and they're playable, and there's nothing hugely restricting you being able to interact fully with Lego Dreams sets, but because of how boring and because how forgettable its storyline is, and the fact that the sets don't work in another context, this theme will fail simply because Lego couldn't make it accessible enough for everyone else or for a wider audience. But let's look at the summary of why most themes failed. And a lot of themes here last for 3 years, showing that Lego simply went through trial and error, seeing what would and wouldn't stick. A lot of this isn't actually Lego's fault. Yes, lots of sets could have been made to be used in another context, but for example with Hidden Side, they've just done things that are a little bit different, but it just didn't work. It didn't stick with audiences, or with Lego fans, or with people who wanted to get Lego sets simply because they didn't capture the audience that they wanted. They weren't successful. And this is why most of them failed, simply because Lego is going through a trial and error phase with different ideas, seeing what will and won't work, and most of their ideas simply just don't work. That's simply it. They just don't work. But there's more, because Lego really failed Monkey Kid. Out of all the themes here, Lego really failed Monkey Kid, since the show, but in particular the Lego sets, could have worked very, very well for Lego, and they're very playable. Lego Monkey Kid is fantastic as a theme. For example, you see the Team Hideout. Yes, it's Monkey Kid specific, but it has interesting Chinese architecture that would work well enough in another context. People would buy this set just because it looks close enough to Chinese architecture. But the reason why it failed, and this is what the really sad thing about Lego Monkey Kid is, Lego Monkey Kid failed because they didn't actually try even with the Western market. They simply gave it to China as a replacement for Lego Ninjago, and instead of them doing anything with just leaving it, they just thought, no, Lego Ninjago and Monkey Kid won't work together, so let's just not introduce Monkey Kid, where I think they're different enough where they could have worked with each other. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button. If you want to see more content just like this, please subscribe. I hope you guys have a truly awesome day and keep building.